That's a really good question. Caitlin wants to know if we're going to see the animals that are here. So because we're in a national park, these animals are protected, but they are wild. So will we... We're about to enter our first national park. Ready? And we're in Zion. So will we see the animals? You know what? I can't promise anything because they're wild animals. They are protected. They know they're safe here. So will they come out and say hi? We don't know. They might be in the bushes. On this side of the park, we're looking for bighorn sheep. So we'll talk about that here in a second. But you've only seen one? Oh.
How do you see them?
Okay. Oh, Caitlin has another great question. Why are the roads red? That's an interesting question, right? Why isn't it black like everywhere else? Well, because this is a national park, what they decided to do is actually paint it. And so that way it's not a harsh black. They do blend. You don't get anything if you see one. You get to point it out to the entire bus and you get credit for finding it first. So as we drive through this park, as we're looking for bighorn sheep, Zion National Park, who was it that gave that presentation? Nadia, okay. As Nadia said, this national park became a national monument in 1909, all right? Before that, we had Native American tribes coming through this area. And when the Mormon pioneers came down that we've been talking about, that we talked about yesterday, when Brigham Young sent the pioneers down here to settle, they sent word back to him and they said, we have found Zion. And as Nadia said, Zion means a place of relaxation and kind of like a heavenly place. And so, sometimes there's bighorn on this mountain over here, so everybody keep your eyes open for these while I'm talking. So as Brigham Young sent people down here, they found this place and they said, we have found Zion. You need to come down here and see this. So Brigham Young came down, he made the trip down to see Zion. And he gets here and he says, yes, it's very beautiful, but this isn't Zion. It's not Zion. And so they started calling this area not Zion. Because what else would you call it, right? So he started calling this area not Zion. And then when they became a national monument in 1909, they started calling this Makuntaweep National Monument, which is after the Native American word that they used, that they called this area. For those two types of cactus here in the park, you will see some juniper trees and some pine trees and things like that. You might even see some Indian paintbrush, which is a little red flower. They're very pretty. Also, our prickly pears are blooming right now, and the prickly pears, when they bloom, their flower is so pretty. So there's like a fuchsia flower that blooms, there's a yellow flower, and then there's like an orange flower that blooms as well. So you'll see the flowers; they're actually really pretty. That's a really good question. Caitlin is full of good questions today, so you guys in the back need to step it up because Caitlin's coming up with all the questions. So that's right, she's the only one I can hear. So Caitlin wants to know why some of the rocks are black. That's a really good observation because you can see that there's some black like kind of smeared along the rocks. When we get to the other side, you'll see it a little bit more prominently or a little bit stronger. And that is called desert varnish. Say it. And it takes 2,000 years for that black to form. 2,000 years. So what you're looking at is different minerals that have changed and oxidized, and the manganese has changed, and it's created a chemical reaction called desert varnish. And that's that black that you see on the rocks. Now when you see petroglyphs, or the ancient Indian writings, they usually carve into the desert varnish, and that way you can really see the color beneath. So right below the desert varnish, there's going to be the red rock. So if you were to carve through the black, red would show through, right? Or that the sandstone color. So they're very prominent. Does that make sense? So you can really see the drawings and whatnot. All right, so now we have to go through this tunnel. The tunnel is actually really cool, but we have to go through it. So when they originally built this tunnel in 1931, when it was completed, did tour buses exist? Did motorhomes exist? Yeah, no. So they built this for the cars that they had. So back then, they could fit 2 cars down this way. But right now, because we're so big, they have to shut the tunnel down, and we go right down the middle.